Hi everyone, welcome to my review of Carry On, Follow That, Camel from 1967, directed by Gerald and of course the 14th Carry On film in the series. So yes, we are back once again, ready to Carry On. No spoiler warning for this discussion here, you can rest easy. I will be going over this very briefly and I won't be getting into the plot really of this film or be giving any spoilers. So yes, with all that said, let's discuss my thoughts on a film that I saw last night for the first time, and this was the very final, feature film of the Carry On series to see. So, the 30 proper films. This was my final one, so I've now seen all 30 of them, and I was leaving Jack and this to last because I went through, Emmanuel and stuff last year, and I didn't want to end it on, those real downloads, of the series. So I thought I'd save a couple and watch these. And to be quite honest, although they are better than those films like Emmanuel and England for me, they are some of my least favourites, including this one as well, Carry On, Follow That, Camel. By no means a bad film, but once again, it is just one of those that doesn't really feel true like a Carry On film, and it is, a bit drawn out and, lacking in charm and real comedic sequences, and just very loud, a bit sluggish, a bit aimless. But yes, it's a very fascinating film in the series. I don't actively dislike this one. It's just very, very under par. Very ever so slightly under par, and I don't mind it. But I'm not massive on the film. I don't really like the film. So we do have this though very fascinating film because Peter Rogers, of course, the producer, was trying to break into the American audience, the American market, and one of the things he done with that was using Phil Silvers, in this film, and of course he gets, you could say at times, the main role of the film, for quite a few sequences, he is, the kind of the centerpiece, and so very, I found different type of humour, that his character is involved in. It's just, it doesn't really work. That's one of the things that doesn't work about this film actually is the Phil Silvers character. Sergeant Knocker, of course, there's a couple of funny moments early on with him, interactions, but mainly it's just too much. It doesn't fit the rest of the film. It's even more loud, and just irritating than some of the other stuff that goes on in the film, and it's just very specific comedy. It doesn't mesh with the rest of the film, and I just didn't enjoy that character throughout the film. So that was one of the big flaws, big issues I had with this film. But obviously, at the beginning, we do have some charming moments, and I thought, okay, this is quite nice. In England, of course, Jim Dale's character of Boy West, Bertram Boy West, he kind of very quickly goes to join the French Foreign Legion, of course, and this is a parody of those kinds of films, and he goes with his his kind of servant, played by Peter Butterworth, Carry On regular as well, and I did enjoy these two characters throughout a lot of the film, and those two go to the travel, of course, and a lot of the film is kind of in the action takes place in the Sahara Desert and around this, so that could have been really cool and really epic, but I found when it's in those sequences, some, for example, aimless kind of walking around, travelling, we have the whole mirage type things, which was funny at first, but then it goes on and on. It's just them, a lot of the characters kind of travelling and stuff. For example, to different places, and kind of action sequences. I would say just simply throughout the film that are very drawn out and lacking in energy and real comedy as well. So I find there are some charming moments throughout. Generally there's some funny slapstick, and I think the thing that elevates it is some of the Carry On regulars, the cast, Jim Dale, of course, Kenneth Williams, Charles Hawtrey. Those three in particular have some funny scenes, and just generally they elevate the material. Kenneth Williams and Charles Hawtrey together is really, really funny at times, but I just think there's so much of it, as we go throughout the film, that is it becomes unenjoyable, a lot. The sequences, of course, throughout the film that are just, they're too big, and they do actually lack a charm. Generally, this film, kind of, it does lack the Carry On feel. Massive cast, regulars, of course, Carry On. We have actors like Joan Sims as well, Bernard Bresslaw, in the film. Wasn't big on Bernard Breslaw's character. It was too much for me. Didn't really work. But Joan Sims was fine, and I enjoyed seeing her. And of course, Anita Harris is in this film as well. So she was in the next entry, Carry On Doctor. So those are the two Carry On films that she was in, and she was fine in the film as well. This is of course after Don't Lose Your Head and before Carry On Doctor, both in the same year. So 3 Carry On films in this year of '67. It's a lot, but of course, yes, they did, at a time, really pump out the Carry On films, and it's of course one of the rank organisation films as opposed to Anglo Amalgamated. No, it's a very interesting film for a number of reasons. It being in the middle of the franchise, obviously, really. Being this one that kind of is attempting to appeal to an American audience, and it's very strange at times. Seeing it for that. Some of the comedy is very, very different. It just simply isn't quite the Carry On comedy at times. And I have said as well, quite a few of the sequences are very drawn out. It just goes to a point where it is just unenjoyable and very tiresome. This one, and overall, because there is some charming moments, and I do enjoy quite a few of the performances, and I don't, I was struggling. I was thinking, do I like this? Do I not? So it just overall, because it is very drawn out, and towards the end it kind of gets worse. I do think it's just slightly under par. So I'd give this film a 59%. So very, very close to the average mark. Do I like it? Do I dislike it? I think it's kind of in between. I don't mind the film. On some days I could give it a like, and some days that perhaps not. But it's just very loud again, just like Carry On Jack that I saw very recently for the first time. And I do find it's just lacking a charm overall to the Carry On standards. By no means a bad film. There are some irritating moments and things that don't work though for me, and it is quite a tiring comedy. As we go into the after the first act, and things are set up as they would be in a comedy like this, and it is a bit restless, kind of in the way it's done, and it is quite tiring. Some of the use of occasions I think could have been better, but generally, I think this film, I would recommend seeing it, of course, seeing all the Carry-Ons. I think it's not a bad film, but it isn't one of my favourites. So I'd put it quite low down in the series, and I do enjoy it, of course, the performances at times. Kenneth Williams, Charles Hawtrey, Jim Dale, as I've said, standouts. Peter Butterworth as well, as usual, really, he is, although it was never really given, a main role, he always shines somewhat, in his kind of supporting roles, and I think it was nice to see him, and, I think at times dynamic between him and some of the characters did work as well. That's my thoughts. Didn't mind the film overall, just didn't, necessarily like the film. It's kind of in that middle mark there, and I think it definitely is someone that I did have quite a tough time with later on in the film. So sequences that are very drawn out, and tedious. But yeah, overall, it's not a bad film. Just one that I'm not huge on at all, and I wouldn't rank it too highly in the Carry-Ons. So that's my final Carry-On film to see for the first time, and obviously rapidly I'll be going through, powering through the rest of the series, reviewing them on the channel, and at some point, probably after all of them, or perhaps towards the end of when I'm reviewing these films, I will be doing the ranking, the entire 30 official kind of proper Carry-On films, feature films, obviously. Not that's Carry-On, I won't be including that. So we'll be ranking that, and I'll obviously come in the next couple of months. I'll be trying to get all these up as quickly as possible, and yeah. Tell me your thoughts on this film. It'd be great to discuss. One of the lesser seen Carry-On films, you could say, Follow That Camel, and yeah, it's a very fascinating film, and one that I would be interested to hear your thoughts on this as well. So and all things Carry-On in the comments. So yes, as always, take care and thanks for watching.